Hey guys, Joe here, and welcome to another Dragon Ball FighterZ video, and welcome back to my patch 1.40/1.41 review. And today, we'll be taking a look at Krillin, who got a lot of changes to a lot of his special moves. So, without further ado, let's get started. The first changes we're going to look at are to 5S, and the two changes it got are as follows. Firstly, the startup has been sped up, but only if you hold forward. So now it has a 23 frame startup, but that only works for the first projectile. In regards to the second projectile, it still goes as slow as the normal 30 frame projectiles. But ultimately, that does mean that with that slower projectile, you have more of a chance to redirect it. Like I've been showing you. So, this ultimately is going to add not only to Krillin's combo game, but also to his zoning, which is something I feel gets glossed over a little bit because, you know, not many people play this character, but his zoning with the way his projectiles function is really good. So this is just going to add another layer to it, which is interesting, but also really good. Next up is Krillin's 2S, which also got some changes. The first of which being a faster startup, which looks like this. 9 frame startup, which is definitely going to help with linking this in combos a lot easier, but on top of that, you can now also cancel out of it into multiple moves, such as JH, J2H, JS, and J2S. This is quite an interesting change, and one that I was kind of waiting for, because I haven't been able to link out of this into a JH or J2H even, but now I actually can, which is definitely going to be interesting for a couple of reasons. Krillin's combo game for one, obviously, but also so this could lead to some interesting mix-up implications. So I guess it's just all up to the Krillin players to kind of figure out what they can make use of with this. Obviously in combos that's going to be pretty interesting to see and quite, you know, the obvious thing, but outside of that, I'm curious to see what Krillin players can do to optimize these moves in other ways. Maybe in like pressure strings, mix-ups, who knows, but it's an interesting change and one I'm definitely pretty happy with. The next changes are to JS, which got the following changes. The first of which being you can now perform J2S out of a JS. So this could lead to some pretty interesting combo confirms. But in addition to that, similarly with 5S, you could also change the speed at which JS goes. So again, that could lead to some interesting implications. And as you saw there, yeah, it's gonna come up with some it's gonna let you come up with some really crazy stuff, both in his combo game and for his zoning. So quite an interesting change. On another note, you can actually change which direction each projectile goes depending on what direction you hold. So if you hold forward, the first projectile will go up and the second will go down, but if you hold it back, it'll be the opposite. The second projectile will go down and the second projectile will go down and the first projectile... Oh, wait. Sorry, the first projectile will go down and the second will go up. As I pretty much figured. So, again, this... Yeah, so this is just going to add so much more to Krillin's zoning, like I said. A lot of these changes feel like not only are they, adding more to Krillin's combo game, but they're also adding to his zoning, which, again, considering this is one of the most overlooked parts of the character, I'm glad they're finally making the changes to kind of bring that aspect of Krillin into the spotlight. I could certainly appreciate it, more than anything. The next change is to J2S, which now lets you cancel into JS. Again, this is just another change that is going to add a lot to Krillin's combo game, but also to his pressure and potentially his zoning. These changes to Krillin's Ki Blasts, both his 5S variants and 2S variants, are going to drastically change the character's combo game, as well as, other aspects, like I mentioned earlier, his zoning, which is something he's not very well known for, as well as his pressure and especially his mix. Krillin has some of the best mix in the game, and these changes are just going to add to it, which is definitely going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. So, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the Krillin players can come up with, so only time will tell. The next couple of changes are to Solar Flare, more specifically the version of Solar Flare used in Krillin's medium auto combo. Now before I talk about that, I first want to talk about Solar Flare as a whole. See, the way Solar Flare normally works on hit is like this. Like that. But if you want to avoid doing that second hit, you can hold down the button. And you'll instead just do the Solar Flare. Now, this is important because if you do the medium auto combo and then hold down the button, it'll do this. It'll keep the opponent closer to you once they're out of that state of hit stun. Now, whether you can convert off of this or not, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's possible at all. But with the full version of Solar Flare, with the second hit, you can get a combo off of it, but it is an incredibly tight link, so just be wary of that. But it is possible. Again, very tight link. So it is possible to combo out of it, but it is, like I said, a very tight link. But you can now combo out of it. Both mid-screen and in the corner. Hold on, let me... Again, very, very tight confirm. But yeah, it is possible. And as for this version, you can't really make much out of that mid-screen. But in the corner, you can absolutely make use out of that. You can absolutely combo out of that. So now, if you hold down the button to only do the solar flare, not the second attack, you can now combo out of it in the corner. So another auto combo, medium auto combo change, and one that, while it does consist of very tight links, could potentially make for some very interesting combos for Krillin. And yet again, this is another change that makes another medium auto combo friendly. Again, I can't even stress enough just how nice these changes are. Because having the medium auto combos actually have a genuine purpose for once, aside from just pressing, is really nice. And I think it does a lot for these characters, especially the more combo-centric ones. So I can't wait to see what people come up with in regards to Krillin's medium auto combo, if anything. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but there is potential here. The next change is to Krillin's level 1 Destructo Disc, which now has a faster startup. Let me try getting up close and see. It now, up close, has a 10 frame startup, meaning linking this move either as a DHC, which means you confirm it after another character's super, or just using it after a really long combo is going to be a lot easier now that it's faster. So it's just a nice quality of life change, not much really to say there. The last change to talk about for Krillin is his C assist, which now has increased hit stop when the opponent is blocking. It is now 34 frames on block. A pretty respectable amount of block stun, I'd say. So overall, a pretty nice change. Not much really to scream about there. And with that, we have covered all of the changes that Krillin has received this patch, and I'm not gonna lie, while I don't personally play the character, I do think that the changes he received are pretty nice overall. They're gonna do a lot for his combo game, his zoning, his pressure, his mix. They're gonna do a lot for him, as I mentioned before. On top of that, the medium auto combo change is nice. His level 1 being faster is going to help him a lot, especially if he either DHCs or uses it after a long combo. And his C assist having more block stun, while I don't think it's going to make it, even to that of his A or B assist, especially his A assist, I do definitely think that it is a nice quality of life change overall. So overall, just really nice changes, a couple quality of life changes. It's nice. But what isn't nice is the fact that certain aspects of this character that should have been nerfed have remained. Yes, I am going to say this because I feel it needs to be said, but Krillin at this point in the game's life is easily one of the most busted characters in the game. And there are a number of reasons why. And to explain that, I'm going to have to jump over to the last segment of the video. So with that said, let's do that. So now we've come to the last part of the video where I go over all the changes I personally would make to the character. And while there are a couple of buffs I definitely would give to the character, there are also a pretty plentiful amount of nerfs I would give it as well. So let's start things out with the buffs I would give the character. Let's start with the buffs, and there's only really 2 buffs, or 3 buffs more specifically, that I would give the character. The first of which being more range on his 5L. I would like to see 5L have its attack distance increased. This way, certain confirms will be made a lot easier. And on top of that, having his 5LL get some more distance would also be really nice, because it would let his auto combo be a little more threatening from afar. And the last change I would give to Krillin is to his B assist. And I've already talked about this with other characters, but I would like to see Krillin's Kamehameha get an increase in hit stun. From 50 frames in which the opponent is actually in hit stun to 60 frames in which the opponent is actually in hit stun. So instead of 70 frames of hit stun, it would be 80 frames of hit stun, or something like that. This way, confirming mid-screen with a beam assist would be much easier. And anytime a character with a beam assist pops up, I'm going to bring this up. And I'm not talking beam C assists, I'm just talking A or B assists that utilize a beam attack. I think if Krillin's B assist got that increase in hit stun, I think it'd be good. Now let's get on to the nerfs, starting with the biggest nerf that I would make being to Senzu Bean, and in turn, A assist. Now in regards to the rocks on A assist, I have no problem with it. In regards to the actual Senzu Bean, however, there is one small problem. And here it is. You build meter off of it. Which makes me wonder, why? Why did they give Senzu Bean the ability to fill up the key gauge? By a full bar, no less. And it gets worse, right? Because in addition to Krillin being able to give himself meter, if you do A assist, you get a full bar for free. And you can have that free bar within a few seconds time. 3 to 4 seconds to be exact. Which is ridiculous. So, not only can you get this assist back quickly now, compared to before, but you just get free meter. Free meter! And considering how fast Krillin comes out and throws the Senzu Bean, having him get hit is unlikely. Which is ridiculous. But it gets even worse than that. Because, remember the system mechanic change to limit break? You know. This one? Watch what happens when I chuck a Senzu Bean.
Maximum power!
Do you see the problem now? On top of the automatic meter gain, you just build a full bar for free and then continue building whatever bar you already were building, or just start fresh on a new one. So, it should be pretty clear by this point that Senzu Bean being able to build bar is unbelievably stupid, unbelievably broken, and unbelievably ridiculous and unfair to fight against. And again, you can get that meter as Krillin for half a bar. And in addition to that, if you're using Krillin's A assist, you get a full bar for free. For free! Which is just ridiculous! So, if anything, I would have Krillin's Senzu Bean, both on the move itself and on his A assist, not have the ability to build meter anymore. I would remove Senzu Bean's ability to build meter because it's unnecessary, it's ridiculous, and it's unfair. So, that shit needs to go. That shit absolutely needs to go. Now, with Senzu Bean covered, we can now cover the other two changes, starting with EX After Image. Now, After Image is a very strong mix-up tool because the way it normally functions is like this, if you don't hold down the button. But if you do hold the button, you stay grounded. This is one of Krillin's best mix-up tools, and he has 3 versions. The light version, which can either cross you up or let you distance yourself from your opponent and initiate in zoning, which, as I mentioned before, has been significantly buffed this patch with the changes to 5S and JS. And then there's the EX version. Now, if you've noticed something with the light and medium version, they don't have any form of invulnerability. With the EX version, however, it's full invul. And in addition to that, it is one of Krillin's best mix-up tools. So, no. Yeah, no, this thing should not have full invincibility. And the nerf I would give to this is to fully remove the full invincibility. Because a move like this should not have full invincibility. That makes it an extremely potent mix-up tool. And by potent, I mean it. So, the full invul should just be removed from EX after image. And the last nerf I would make to Krillin is to his Destructo Disc, more specifically the Chain Destructo Disc Barrage. Now, it's not the move itself I would nerf, but rather how many projectiles you can launch, which consist of 9 projectiles. That is ridiculous. I think that number should be lowered from 9 to 6. That's the nerf I would give to Chain Destructo Disc Barrage. Have the attack number be reduced from 9 to 6. Because having 9 Destructo Discs is just ridiculous. 6 feels like a much more reasonable amount. 9 is just overkill. And with that, that's all I've got for Krillin, and those are the nerfs that I would give the character. That's it. That's all I would do for Krillin. So, with that, we have now come to the end of the video. So, thank you all for watching. Next time we will be covering Kid Buu, who, wow, what a glow up. We'll get more into that next time, but until then, don't do anything stupid, and take good care of yourselves. That's all from me. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.